Boris Johnson's partying exploits seem likely to end his prime ministership and seriously damage the Tories. That's got some of the right-wing papers flustered, including the Daily Mail, who are trying to shift focus to Keir Starmer. On Saturday, their front page read, "Starmer, the COVID party hypocrite." And on Monday, the paper led with, "Starmer must say sorry for drinks in lockdown." The basis for both front pages is a photo of Keir Starmer holding a bottle of beer taken through a window before the May elections. It was taken on April the 30th, 2021, at which time government guidelines stated you must not socialise indoors except with your household or support bubble. Speaking to Sophie Rayworth, Starmer argued no rules were broken.
I was in a constituency office just days before the election. We were very busy. We were working in the office and we stopped for something to eat. And then we carried on working. That is the long, the short of it. No party, no breach of the rules and absolutely no comparison with the Prime Minister.
But there were rules in place. This was step 2 guidelines at the time. No person may participate in a gathering in the step 2 area which consists of 2 or more people and takes place indoors unless it's reasonably necessary for work purposes.
We were in the office, the constituency office. It was days before the election. We were very busy. We were working. At some point, some food turned up. We stopped, we had our food, and then we carried on working. That is not a breach of the rules. It's not a party, and it is no comparison to the Prime Minister.
But drinking a beer, is that reasonably necessary for work purposes?
We'd stopped to eat a takeaway whilst we were working in the office, and then we carried on. This was, just to put it in context, this was about a few days before the May elections. We were really busy. We'd been at it all day on Zoom calls. We were doing members' calls from that very office. We stopped because food arrived, and then we carried on.
There were rules in place, and the guidance, the workplace guidance that was in place at the time. Participants should physically attend meetings only where reasonably necessary. There should not be any sharing of food and drink by staff who do not share a household.
Well, Sophie, trying to persuade anybody that stopping to have some food when you're in the office all day working is a breach of the rules is just not going to wash. And it shows just how far the Conservatives are sinking, that they're trying to pretend there's some sort of comparison between this and the industrial scale partying that the Prime Minister's been up to.
Nadeem Zahawi has been trying to bring up this photo of Starmer in TV interviews. So it's clearly the Cabinet's line to take. They're told, if they bring up Boris Johnson partying, bring up that picture of Keir Starmer. Ash, is this a big problem for Labour?
I don't think it's a huge problem, no. If you look at when these pictures first emerged, they were circulated quite a while ago now, a few months ago, if not, several weeks ago. And they've only just now made front page news. So I think that most people can see through it as a cynical ploy. I think at worst they'll go, oh, politicians, they were all at it. But ultimately, that's not a reprieve for Boris Johnson. I think one of the problems for Starmer, and this goes back to something that we've mentioned a few times, which is now he's saying something quite reasonable, which is, look, if you have in the rules a stipulation saying that nobody who is working in the same office together can then share food or drink together in that same office space, that's ridiculous, that's not going to wash, no one can really do that, it's unreasonable. Sure, that's great. But not that long before, he had waved those rules through without bringing that up as a point, saying, actually, this is something which is, at odds with providing decent conditions for workers to do their jobs in. So for me, that's the problem with Starmer. It's not whether or not he's as bad as Boris Johnson, whether or not he's somebody who, secretly been partying on the sly. I don't think he has, but if he had, I imagine that there'd be more to go on than a picture through a window. The problem is that if that rule is unreasonable now, you've been caught doing it, it's probably unreasonable at the time that you waved it through.
What happened in the rest of that interview on the BBC was that she was saying, look, even if you don't think this is a big deal, it's exactly what Boris Johnson did when he was having that beer in the garden and that picture was taken. Potentially he was working and having a drink. Well, one, his wife was there, so it looks a bit different anyway. But two, I think the dates of those matter. So Boris Johnson's was in the first lockdown, and the first lockdown was quite different to the second and third lockdowns in the sense that, everyone was really quite terrified. The attitude to lockdown were quite different then. in the time period when that picture of Keir Starmer was taken, that was when there was the party in Downing Street where 100 people were invited and Boris Johnson attended. So I think you've got to compare that picture of him having that drink through the window with Boris Johnson going to a party to which 100 people were invited, which, according to Dominic Cummings, Boris Johnson gave the go-ahead. So I think on this one, Keir Starmer is right that there is no comparison between the two events.